Welcome to the Rig on Wheels show featuring MVT. This is your first ever truck driver recruitment show. I am your host, Kameel Gaines. I'm the CEO and founder of Rig on Wheels. This is Pierson, Robert Pierson. He is the VP of truck driver recruitment at Missoula Valley, and this is Josue. He is one of the recruiters, internal recruiters at MVT, and he is actually our personal recruiter over there at MVT. So basically, we are here every Tuesday. We come to bring you live tips for truck drivers, recruiters, industry news, all good stuff. So we're here to make history together, guys. So we always start off with Pierson. So Josue, let's start off with you. Yeah, so tell us, y'all down here in DFW, I guess over here because you're from El Paso, so it's not really down, right? It's over here, huh?
Yeah.
So how you enjoying it?
Love it. I love it. I was excited to this. The last time I had lots of fun here, so looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it? Yeah. Okay, so I know that we got some good questions for you and everything.
Yeah, for sure. I'm ready.
How did you like having a travel partner?
Oh, it's always fun traveling with Josue. I also point out that if you follow Missoula Valley Transportation on LinkedIn, you'll see a video here of Josue that got posted today on how MVT changed my life. You'll see a lot of drivers featured, office employees, and so follow us on LinkedIn. You'll get to see Josue live and in action.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so it's Thanksgiving week. Like, what's y'all plans?
Home with the family. Family and work. There's a lot of work out there, so for sure.
So you working and home with the family.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you?
Oh, same thing. It's a work day on my end here, so I'll do some stuff with the family. But Thanksgiving, I'll have my laptop open. We got 6 recruiters working, plus people checking in at home, and you know we're in trucking, which is definitely 365, 24/7.
That's for sure.
So we'll spend a little time with the family. It's fun to watch the Lions this year and not tell people I'm going to watch my team lose. So that's kind of exciting this year. But yeah, well, it's a work day. I'm in trucking.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah. It's still a work day. Well, I'll be cooking. I'll start cooking on Wednesday, but it's still a work day.
Yep.
That's for sure. Okay, so let's jump into some news. I wanted to let's start out with something good. Let's talk about that diesel.
Yeah, diesel continues to be down 8.5 cents a gallon, sitting at $4.20 currently. It's still high. $4.20 is not cheap from a historical perspective on diesel, but you'll take a win where you can get it. We don't know how long that will last, as we're coming into a colder part of the year. But at $4.20, it's better than the $4.50 it was at almost 3 weeks ago. So that's something to get encouraged about.
Right, definitely. Definitely. And now, Mack truck, after 39 days, they finally came to an agreement on November 15th. Huge money those guys are about to make, and it's a stretch over what they said, 5 years?
Yeah.
So 5 years in increments, but they're about to make some big money. Majority of them, 36% increase over 5 years, but some of them, it might go up to 55% increase depending on where they start.
Well, it's going to be an immediate increase of 15% all the way up to 55% by the end of the 5-year period. This impacts about 3,900 employees out of the Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Florida facilities. I think Mack President Stephen Roy talked a little bit about the significant raise increase, how it's going to help them from a competitive standpoint get better, basically, employees. Those costs are going to get passed on to the end consumer. So next time you look at a truck that's about $5,000 more than it was the previous year before, You can get on Transport Topics, look at that story and go, that's where my rate increase went on that truck. So
Yeah.
all the OEMs are facing it, but this is going to hit Mack truck particularly hard. It's good that they've avoided the strike because just a week ago they were talking about getting scabs off the street.
Yeah.
But with that said, that is a big increase, and that cost is going to get passed on to the trucking companies and to the independent contractors. And ultimately, when we go get a TV dinner at Albertsons or Tom Thumb or HEB, as you look at that price on it, just know that you're paying for somebody's wage for the Mack facilities.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what people don't understand, that it actually impacts everything. So I am glad that the guys, when I say guys, that's just a universal term. So let's throw it out here, right? So the guys and gals were able to get an increase. Everybody wants, more money. Josue, please give me more money.
Okay, got
Hint, hint, okay. But that actually will impact everything. Like the loaf of bread will be increased. That's for sure. Behind this. And it's not just, let's go back to trucks. So it's not just going to be Maxx. Everything is going to have to go up.
Yep.
That's all across the board. And then it's also going to be when you see one do it, the next one is going to do it. The next one is going to do it. It's almost like when you see court cases,
Yep.
It just kind of shows if they were able to do it, then we should be able to do it. So everything gets increased. And that's how used cars, used vehicles, used trucks increases as well. So it's everything. When I saw those numbers, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
The challenge is right now is that cost eventually goes on to the end consumer. Right
Yeah.
now, the shipper has the upper hand though. So that cost is going to be grunted by the trucking companies for the first 6 months until freight turns around, where we can then have the discussion with the shipper to include that into the rates on the loads.
Yeah.
So the problem right now is trucking for the next 6 months is going to be who feels that price increase until there's an equilibrium of freight, so that
Yeah.
that can be included into the rate. So your end consumer may not feel this for 9 to 12 months. We as a trucking company will feel this almost immediately.
Immediately. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an immediate thing. Any other news you wanted to share?
Yeah, I would say it doesn't look like we're going to have a government shutdown in the near-term future. It was probably a lot of sticky hands behind closed doors being shake, but probably we won't have a government shutdown. Freight's starting to pick up. Freight's down year over year. If you look at most of the earnings released by most companies, freight's down dramatically as well as revenues. They just released October tonnage was down year over year for October versus last year. That's not going to be a surprise. The key right now for most drivers is do not spend extended time at home. And this is where trucking is different than, say, a banker or a doctor, where they may take a week off between Christmas and New Year's. We don't want to do that in the trucking industry. This is our busiest time, depending on the niche that you are in the industry. There's certain flatbed, open deck opportunities that are not the busy time of year, but for anybody doing any type of closed compartment, dry-van, reefer, this is our busy time of year.
Absolutely.
Not the time to take a 5-day holiday. That, truth be told, probably comes January, February, where
Right.
you're going to take a vacation and it's going to be extended. The key right now is it's not as good as it could have been. It's not as good as it was last year, but you cannot afford to be taking extended times off this time of year. Make yourself available. If you're going to an orientation, be prepared when you join an orientation to leave on that first load available. Don't attend an orientation, go, can I start next week?
Right, absolutely.
Not the time of year to do that.
And be thankful to be able to take a load. That's just part of being a professional driver. That is definitely something that we are all looking for in a professional driver at this time, definitely. And just like Pierson said, January into the middle of February is definitely where drivers, with the whole vacation, every industry has its seasons where we all take more vacation time.
Right now, for sure.
Yeah, and this is not our vacation time. We spend a little time with the family, just i.e. because the calendar tells us it's holiday time, but it's not the time that we actually take vacation. It's definitely not that time at all. So what I want to do is just end this segment. Let's go ahead to our first commercial and come back and to jump right into everything. Let's start talking about some hot job areas and what we see for the near future, because 2023 is winding down and 2024, here we come. I'm ready for 2023 to be over.
Yes.
Anyways, like, bye. But no, we'll see you guys back in 2 and 2.
Hello, everybody. I'm DeAnthony Davis. I'm a truck driver from Cleveland, Texas. I've been driving for 3.5 years now. I recently saw a podcast with Rigonwheels on YouTube. I gave them a call. They was fast. They was efficient. They helped me out. I didn't really want to be over the road, so they got me a good regional job. And hey, you should give them a call.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the hot jobs or the hot areas. For the jobs, I'm old school, so I like areas. But so any hot jobs, this is the time. We love talking about this. All the recruiters be like, when is Jose getting to work? We be like, okay, it's 5 in the morning. I'm still sleeping. Okay, but what jobs y'all want to talk about today?
I mean, we have several ones that just opened up, so we have several lined up.
Okay, God.
One of them would be, for example, our Division 330. Goes to the Midwest. That particular division, takes 5 to 7 days to complete. And it's basically the Midwest area, and we hire out of San Antonio, the DFW area, Laredo. So there's opportunities there. That's one of our hot ones in the market right now. And
do you know how much they pay? You remember how much they pay?
Yeah, that's generally going to be in the $1,400, $1,500 range.
Okay.
The nice thing with that is it's very consistent. It's definitely engineered lanes, point to point to point to point. So when you say 1,500, literally, if you show up, you get out of the house when you need to, that 1,400 to 1,500 is consistent, which is going to allow you to budget around that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm going to share a little tidbit that we just got handed here this morning. We got a dedicated opportunity out of El Paso right now. The company is TJ Maxx. We have a good relationship with them. It's a dedicated account. It's a little unique with most of our freight. In fact, overwhelmingly, it's 100% no touch. So any driver that comes to us and says, I'm not going to touch freight, they don't touch freight. There's opportunities to, but they don't do that. This is a dedicated opportunity where it's lift gate. Mm-hmm. So if they live within 50 miles of El Paso, Texas, so they can literally put in zip code 79907. If you live within 50 miles of that, have 6 months of experience, we have an opportunity where there's both local opportunities as well as extended regional opportunities, but you're going to get home every 1 to 2 days. So you may get home the same night, you may get home the next day. It's a position that pays on the regional runs about 55 cents a mile. On your local runs, there's always a $60 minimum, and any of the stops on the way is about $20. What it ends up meaning on a weekly basis is you're going to average about $1,200 to $1,500 a week. It's lift gate, so you got to operate a lift gate on the trailer. It's hand unload where you're generally taking parcels. Normally, each trailer is going to have 2 to 3 different store deliveries on it. But you always leave El Paso and eventually return back into El Paso. But it's a dedicated opportunity. We need 3 drivers for it, so it's going to fill up fast. It's something someone's going to want to act on quickly. Because if they wait next week to apply for it, it's probably going to be too late.
Okay, so Rachel, I know you have some drivers out of El Paso, and we'll get more information, but I want to break this down because this is a job that the drivers get paid in several different type of ways. So they have 2 to 3 stops per load.
Generally, on average.
Okay, $1,200 to $1,500 a week, but now tell me again how they get paid.
So their mileage rate's 55 cents a mile, but if they have a short haul, there's always a $60 minimum on a load. And over the course of the week, they're going to leave El Paso, hit places like Albuquerque, Roswell, places like that, possibly West Texas, coming back to El Paso. It's $20 minimum on the stops. When it's all said and done, it's going to average about $1,200 to $1,500 a week. It's not hard physical work. There is the lift gate to lower down there. You're going to hand unload some of the parcels and stick those into the store. They're ultimately disassembling everything, putting it on the shelves. You're not doing any of that stuff. You do not work at the store. But with that said, you're going to be home every day to 2 days.
Okay, okay, we got it.
The keys, there's 3 opportunities, and these dedicated opportunities tend to go quickly. So if it's something that, hey, this is what I was looking at from home time, from a money standpoint, don't wait till after the holiday. If you wait till after the holiday, the position will be filled. I'm pretty confident of it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. This is okay. So this position, it would be for a driver that has done dollar stores, but doesn't want to do the heavy lifting that some of the dollar stores have, that you have to do there. But it's the same type of driver. It's literally your same type of driver. So it's your driver that has done your Family Dollars, Dollar Tree, and Dollar Generals. But of course, at TJ Maxx, you're not going to be lifting your heavy dog food and all of that type of stuff. You don't have lift gates at your Dollar Generals and all of that. So you're doing.
Well, you're not breaking up the parcels.
Right.
That's the difference. So if you're at a Dollar General or a Family Dollar, you're hand unloading everything and you're breaking up the parcels.
Right.
It is a physically demanding job. There's a reason why certain carriers have to pay what they pay on it and the drivers still don't stay. This is not that. This is what those jobs realistically try to portray themselves as.
Right. So if you're a driver that is on a dollar store account or used to do dollar store accounts, you live within a 50-mile radius of El Paso, definitely give us a call now, 281-968-3100. You have to have how much experience, Josue?
6 months of experience.
Okay, we need 6 months of experience. Your driving record needs to be decent. We're looking for professional drivers. You need to be able to start ASAP. So it doesn't need to be somebody that you need all this time to have to start. We need somebody to be able to start ASAP, and we only need 3 people. So it can't be any drivers that's shucking and jiving. You have to be a professional driver that's ready to start ASAP. So, and then after the show, I'm definitely gonna reach out to the recruiters about this. Anything else?
Yeah, let's go.
I'm excited about that one. Can y'all tell? Oh yeah, I got passionate.
Yeah. We need a Division 329 team. So we need a team that can reside out of Laredo, San Antonio, DFW, or Houston. That team's going to run regionally around the state of Texas and southern Oklahoma. It's something where an individual driver is making $1,700 a week, but they're getting home every week. As a team, it'd be $3,400 to $3,600 a week. They'll find a lot of drop and hook. In those markets, we have a lot of local drivers that do those last mile deliveries. Our goal with a team is to move freight quickly, have them drop, and then hook onto the next load and get going, and let the local driver deal with the store or ultimately the last mile of delivery and trailer relocation, etc. So it's really good miles, it's really good pay for a team. You're going to stick to Texas and Oklahoma. So if you're a team in one of those markets, if you're going coast to coast with a carrier right now, they're about to start sending you into the snow.
Right.
You don't have to deal with that. Go ahead and join us on Division 329. You're going to stick to Texas, primarily East Texas and Oklahoma. See a ton of drop and hook. That truck's going to stay busy. You're going to get home every single week. And you found a home where you're going to avoid having to go to some of those locations that are going to send you into the snow.
So, okay, so this team is only going to drive primarily Texas and Oklahoma. Okay, do drop and hook. They're going to make about $1,700 a week each.
Yep.
Okay, and a DFW, Laredo,
San Antonio and Houston.
San Antonio, and Houston. Okay.
Need one team for that opportunity. If we get two really good teams, we may have the freight to support them. But specifically, if we got a team out of those markets, this is an excellent opportunity. You'll see a lot of the same customers over and over again. And those local drivers in those markets are there to support you so that you can keep on going and do a lot of drop and hook.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else? Because y'all said a few things.
Yeah, I'm going to end with this on my end here. I would say that we continue to have a lot of robust activity along the I-10 corridor. So if there's anybody out of Jacksonville, Florida, I would take a 4:30 driver every day of the week right now. The attractiveness there with that position is if you're in Jacksonville, primarily every recruiter under the sun is trying to get you to go up I-95 to go to the Northeast, or they're trying to have you to go to Atlanta, which if you've ever driven a truck on 285, it's just a chore, let alone driving a four-wheeler in a truck, it's a whole different ballgame. Out of Jacksonville, the nice thing here is you're running I-10 the entire way. You're going Jacksonville, Houston, Houston down to Laredo, Laredo back to Houston, and Houston to Jacksonville. It's going to take you approximately 5 days to do that. You're going to have consistent home time. You're going to make really good money on that, consistently being above $1,200 a week. But I-10, the only traffic you're going to hit the entire length, for the most part, is going to be Houston. So you're going to want to time that part of the trip out, so when you're going through Houston. But excluding Houston, 95% of that run doesn't really have heavy congested traffic. So out of Jacksonville, it's probably the most attractive running lane you can have, making OTR money. You're not having to deal with 285 up in Atlanta. You're not being sent up into the DC, Philadelphia, New York area on I-95. So it's the best of both worlds. You're running as an OTR driver, but you're not dealing with the traffic, weather, and congestion of an OTR driver.
Okay, that's perfect. And they do get home weekly.
Yep.
And so I do want to say this because this is definitely a sought after position when it comes to Jacksonville drivers. You need to have a decent MVR and you're not skipping around with jobs because all you're going to be doing is I-10. You're not up and down 95, going from Miami all the way up to Maine. Those accounts, I don't want to, throw out what accounts they are, but those accounts that's going all the way up from Miami, all the way up to Maine. You're not having to do that along that corridor. So this is definitely making the same money. Let me say that, okay? Because I know those accounts very well. So making that same amount of money doing that, or the two different dollar store accounts that's right out of the Jacksonville area, and you're home weekly as well, making the same amount of money, literally, because I know those accounts very well off the back of my hand. So you're able to get home on a weekly basis, and all you're doing is that I-10. And like Pierson said, the only time that you have to worry about traffic is just Houston, which is nothing to, it's Houston, but that's the only ill part of it is just the Houston versus that 95 corridor. Okay. But definitely give us a call, 281-968-3100, or go to the website at rigonwheels.com and fill out the Intella app. Okay, so any other hot job?
No, because you're going to need to end up getting another sheet of paper.
I know, and then I write like a serial killer, right? It's just all over the place, and then my shorthand, like this way, nobody can know what my hot jobs are.
There you go.
Right? It's secret hot jobs here. Okay, so we're gonna go to another commercial right quick. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Thought that was funny. But we'll be back, and then we'll talk about some more good stuff when we come back, okay?
Yep.
All right. a driver that was talking about this. I saw it in a text message to Raven, one of the recruiters, well, actually the recruiting manager at Rigonwheels, and was talking about truck parking and issues with that and all of that type of stuff. Well, she saw the the driver saw the podcast or the show. We like not to call a show podcast, by the way. Okay, it's a show.
Okay.
But where Pierson was talking about it, because it was questions from before, and it was really part of what made they have the choice to make MVT, which they wanted to fill out an application, if you follow me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is because when you were saying truck parking is typically not an issue for your drivers.
Yeah.
Okay, because of the loops, the engineered lanes. So can you kind of go through that again?
Yeah, the unique thing about all of our engineered lanes is they go through a terminal. So if you don't live where one of the terminals are, but you're on that run, you're gonna go through a terminal. Generally, time-wise, you're gonna have an origin and destination point at that terminal. So that takes care of 1/3 of your parking issues right there. You're going to be able to park at the terminal. We have drop yard facilities at all the places that we go to. So if there's not a terminal, there's a drop yard. So as an example, let's talk about Division 430 that we literally talked about the previous section. You're going to leave Jacksonville where we have a drop yard, so you left the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Your next stop's probably going to be in the Houston area where we have a drop yard and you can leave the truck or stay with the truck. You're going to go to Laredo where we have a terminal and a drop yard. We have shower facilities and a number of other things there, but you have a spot to park. And you're going to do that trip over again. All three of those points, you're going to have parking opportunities. In theory, timing-wise, you may have to stop somewhere along the way that we don't have a drop yard, but that's more rare in that situation, and that's where some pre-planning comes into it. But on 430, as an example, 80% of the time, you're going to be winding up your day where we have a drop yard facility, some kind of opportunity. If I look at Division 300 as an example, you're going to leave El Paso, our main terminal, shower facilities, laundry facilities, biodiesel fuel, all that you could ask for. You're going to go up to Dallas-Fort Worth. We have a drop yard in Saginaw on the west side of town. We have a drop yard in Hutchins on the east side of town. You have a spot to park, and you don't have to worry about going to the truck stop. You're then going to go up to Denver, where we have a terminal and a drop yard. You're going to go back down south to Albuquerque, where we have a drop yard. This ends up being a very consistent thing that you find we have those drop yards because we're running the same lane over and over and over again. It doesn't work out perfectly. You may have a weather event. You may have a truck order not used where a load got canceled because God forbid it doesn't happen often. But this is trucking. Something is going to go wrong. If you drive long enough, something's going to go wrong. And that's where proper pre-planning comes into this. If you properly pre-plan, one of the tips I'll give any driver is you want to wind your day about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. If you go to a TA or a Petro or a Flying J or a Love's, getting a parking space at 4 in the afternoon is a breeze. Show up at a truck stop at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. You're going to use a bunch of fuel going around and around and around looking for a truck spot. So that's where proper pre-planning, because if you can start your day at 4 in the morning, if you can end at about 4 in the afternoon, when possible, that also makes it to where when you do have to park, you have a space available to you and you're not doing something dangerous, like parking on the side of the road, on ramp, off ramp, sketchy looking rest area, places that sometimes life forces you, but it shouldn't because you don't want to be there. So those engineered lanes are strategically built where truck parking is one of the added benefits of those. That it's not just a consistency in your pay. It's really down to your drivers, your safety, your productivity, and your ability to have the equipment and load in a secure location where we can pull it and don't have to worry about theft of the trailer, or God forbid, the safety of our drivers.
And that's what they were saying was, and I don't want to get the pronoun wrong, but the safety and harassment, that was issues That was one of the reasons why they were in this industry. And so to find a company that, those issues, safety was important.
Right.
Safety was definitely important. So when you was speaking about that job, that memory,
Yeah.
and it was like, okay, yeah, this is where I should be applying.
Well, look, and our industry has this reputation of being dangerous. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. There's steps you can take on that. It's pre-planning. It's where your loads are going. It's where you secure the equipment. If you're under a high value load, are you in a spot that you and the trailer and the freight is secure? This industry does have that reputation, but it really shouldn't if we do things correctly and try to plan out in advance. And we take steps and measures. Some of that's on the driver, some of that's on the carrier too.
Yeah.
The carrier has an obligation in that symbiotic relationship between the two. And so that's where our engineered lanes have an added perk. I always will sell the consistency of the pay, the equipment, the good customers, but the safety of what we do is a valuable asset for people. It's why traditionally in an industry that's in the single digits for female drivers, we're close to about 17 to 20%, because that's a main concern for a lot of female drivers. It should be for male drivers as well. But from a female driver's perspective, you want the same things as any guy would want. You want the miles, you want the pay, you want the freight, you want the equipment, but you have that extra element of safety that you have to look at that becomes really important in this profession. So that's why these runs tend to fit a larger percentage of women than it does in other parts of the industry because of that.
Yeah, safety is definitely a huge factor when it comes to females. Josue, when you're on the phone with drivers, how often do you hear things about truck parking, safety, harassment, things?
So yeah, it does come up, and kind of like to piggyback what Pierson was saying is I like to go over the drop yard. We have like a map and it has like a lot of pins, and it tells you in Houston the drop yard is here, blah 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 street, phone number, and all that good stuff. So I like to go over it with my drivers just to let them know it's a high secured facility. We have someone there 24 hours, and the good thing about it, once I hire my driver, I give them that cheat sheet that I have, and then it has the name of the person, the phone number of the person that takes care of that drop yard. So just in case something, they have someone to call, someone to talk to 24/7 to make sure that the parking is there and it's highly secured.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. What are some of the other questions that you hear from drivers quite often?
Consistency. They just want to make sure that, kind of like what a person was saying earlier about budgeting and stuff like that. Because I think it would suck if you don't know if this Friday I get $800 and then next Friday I get $2,000 and then the following Friday I get $300. It's kind of hard to budget that way. So what I tell my drivers is just it's consistency. Like what we take pride on is the miles and the consistency that that if we quote you, you're going to be making this much. That's how much you're going to be making every week. So it's not being in the thinking, okay, am I going to get this much money? You're going to have that peace of mind knowing that your check's going to be there and it's going to be there every Friday, and that's the amount that we quoted you.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, that's good. Now, I know that drivers always ask about benefits. Okay, so how does that get explained? Is it explained on the phone with you or once they get into orientation?
It would be with me. I would like to cover from A to Z because I want to let them know the options that they have. I want to make sure that they know, we do have the 401k, with John Hancock, and we match you, a certain amount of percentage, or if you want, depending medical, we do have medical, and we have different plans of medical, just by the driver by himself, spouse involved, children involved. Of course, the money will change depending who wants coverage, but we have everything. And that's when I try to build a relationship with the driver and let them know, okay, this driver is single. So then I start telling them about the single plan. But if I hear kids in the background and wives, or they bring up stuff, then I'll be like, we have this kind of coverage, and it depends on the deductible side. It gets a little bit more complicated, just depending on what kind of coverage they have. But yeah, that's one of those things, vision, dental, everything that we have. I like to go over it with them so they could know that if they want it, it's there for them to go ahead and get it.
Okay.
I will say on the health insurance, the network's a nice add on to it. I got 5 kids, got a wife. The dog doesn't qualify for medical, but being around the country and being a spot where you
That's
can find
coming, though.
coverage quick, yeah. Where you can find coverage is really important. So it's not just coverage in El Paso. If you reside in a place like Denver, Nashville, Jacksonville, Houston, Dallas, you'll find places that take the insurance. It's a large swath of coverage in the markets that we cover. Or if you go on the road and you go someplace you're unfamiliar with, but you're on vacation, and God forbid there's a medical emergency, you're not going to have difficulty finding coverage for it, which is really, really important. If you have enough kids, something is going to happen at some point, and you're going to go to an ER because somebody broke their arm, probably doing something dumb, and you're going to want that coverage. It's available network. Plus, the other benefit of it is we live in El Paso. A lot of our drivers live in Laredo. We have coverage that applies to Mexico as well, so you can get coverage and help with your medical necessities south of the border, Juarez, Nuevo Laredo, Reynoso, places like that. That's unique, part of it because of how much we do work on the border. We do approximately 450, 460 loads a day of cross-border work. So that coverage in the Mexico kind of is something that's unique if you live in those markets.
So,
I see the wheels turning.
I know.
right, so you can work at MVT and be covered to go across the border
Yes.
and do, so I need to work at MVT?
Well, I've been trying to recruit you for a while. You seem pretty committed to this rig on the wheels thing now.
I was just like, wait a minute, because I never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's what I do. When I to get my glasses or my contacts or dental work, I'm covered with MPT, and I go to Mexico and go to Juarez and do what I got to do and show them my stuff, and it's easy.
I just do, but it's not covered. Well, that is a great benefit. Okay, that's a selling point that we didn't know about, and now that's smart. We won't be telling my recruiters that, but no, but that's good. That's excellent. So what we're going to do is go to commercial really quickly and then come back, and we have a few more questions. I don't know if they're geared towards Pierson or Josue, but we do have some more questions.
Mi nombre es Carlos Vázquez, tengo trabajando 3 años aproximadamente y somos B1 y andamos en territorio de Estados Unidos. Lo que me gusta de MVT es que tiene buenos viajes, buenos camiones y muy buenas millas. Mi comunicación con el despacho es muy buena y todo eso, y siempre están a la orden del día. ¿Qué pienso del equipo de los camiones? Pues que están muy bien y les dan sus mantenimientos, sus PO y todo lo demás, alineación y balanceo, todo, cambio de llantas y excelente servicio. La compañía cada trimestre regala un auto para los operadores. Me motiva pues a crecer más como persona y pues, para dar el 100, como dicen, para la compañía.
Jose Luis and I got upgraded from LA. He'll be excited.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, so we're gonna do question and answer period.
Nice.
I never said that before. Okay, Q&A time. Okay, Kate, shoot.
All right. First question for Josue. What are some of the common challenges that you face recruiting drivers? How do you overcome those challenges?
What are some of the common questions? What are some of the common questions that or concerns that you get when recruiting drivers?
Common question. Concerns is just, I know that sometimes drivers have been lied to, right? So sometimes when they call me, it's like, are you sure? Like kind of like a little bit doubtful of what I'm trying to tell them. But, for me, it's just like, rest assured that here at Mesilla Valley, transportation is different. Mesilla Valley transportation is different. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that stuff happens when drivers talk to a bunch of recruiters. I know sometimes, some things get lost in translation. But yeah, one of them is just kind of like a little bit skeptical of, what we offer. But once they come in on board, they come in an orientation and they are done delivering their first load, they start saying, you know what, this is actually pretty good, awesome.
And we got some good feedback. Well, not we, it was Deborah, but I want to take credit for it. She had a driver that actually applied, and somebody here recently this week or last week or whatever, and she said that the driver was at a truck stop and was talking to the Silver Valley driver. A couple of them were standing there or eating or whatever they were doing. And they was like, no, this is a good company, and all of that type of stuff. And she was like, okay, now call Josue back, like stop it. You know how the board gets all loud and everything. But so that was good. So that the drivers were actually talking to the prospective driver and was saying, how good.
Positive.
Positive feedback, like live positive feedback. It wasn't on Google review. He wasn't getting a gift card, or anything. He was at the truck stop or wherever they were parked.
And I mean, I think that's the best thing you could do if you hear word of mouth, and especially someone that actually works there. Then it's a little bit more credible instead of you just reading something online or, my friend of a friend told me. So I think that's more credible for someone to be like, I work here. It's good. It's awesome place. So coming over.
And they were actually on the job, doing the job. You know what I mean? Like it was like that. So so that was good. And then when we get that type of feedback as recruiters, and especially as third-party recruiters, it makes us feel good because, like I always said, we're not married to any company. So it makes us feel good when we hear a company that we're representing name is good out in the streets. I don't know how else to put it, but to say it like that, there's no other translation. So I feel very good about that. Kayla, do we have another question?
Yes. The next question is, how does MVT make sure drivers are compliant with safety regulations?
How does MVT make sure drivers are compliant with safety regulations?
I mean, we have our safety department heavily involved during the hiring process, after the hiring process. So these guys are literally like hands-on, making sure that everything's in compliance. The driver has, the latest and greatest medical card, or the license up to date, or if the license has to be switched to another state, whatever the case might be. Our safety department is literally hands-on. These guys are busy for sure.
What did you want to say?
I will include this. We hire people that are safety minded to begin with. So there's a difference between a driver and a professional driver. We hire professional drivers. So just because you can sit in a truck and go forward and occasionally backwards does not make you a professional. That means that you have an occupation. We hire people that have clean, stable work histories. We hire people that understand we're in the service business. My customer in this is the driver. I'm very clear on that. But once you've joined us, your customer is now our customer. We're equally tied into that. That's a tall responsibility working around the general motoring public, as well as our direct customers. So it starts with the hiring process. We run all the backgrounds that you'd see at any other major carrier. We hire drivers that are competent and have a background that would represent us well with that customer, because the driver is who the customer sees. And then it's that career development part. And we've had a chance to talk a little bit about our driver services department. Part of what they do is not just helping you get better fuel economy. Part of what they do is work with you. So just because there is a mistake, because there is an issue, doesn't mean that we're going to fire you. We generally go, hey, let's step back and work together and try and solve this. Maybe it was a one-off issue. Maybe it's an issue that there's a certain level of training that you need. It might be the Smith system. It may be looking at some of our processes, and maybe the process on our end is broken. But we want to work with the driver on that career development path through our driver services department. That is their sole job, is how can we make our drivers the best? We hire the right ones, and then we work on developing their careers.
Awesome, love it. I like the double team there.
See?
I feel like we need like a turnbuckle list so I can be tagged in.
Okay, Kayla, hit us with another one.
All right. Next question. Drivers want to know, what are the cameras in the truck like?
What are the cameras in the truck like? Okay, so they're not taking pictures of you doing anything unless you're doing something wrong, but I'll let Pierson take that up so we can stay positive.
We have outward and inward facing cameras. We have 1,900 drivers. We do not have people pay to stare at the camera and watch you 24/7. It is not that invasiveness of it. The camera gets activated depending on an action. So if you have a hard brake, as an example, that activates the camera to take a few seconds of video to see what's going on. If you're in a car accident, if you're in any type of collision accident, that camera footage is available to go back to, so we can see. Theoretically, let me be very clear. If a driver is texting and has an accident, I don't care that he doesn't like the camera being on him. I don't mean to be, lack of empathy, but if you're willing to text and drive, that camera should pick you up texting and driving because you are not supposed to be driving. But with that said, it is not invasive. We have all sorts of things in our own four-wheel vehicles at this moment that are tracking what we're doing. There's a few insurance companies that even stick a little attachment in there so you can get a better rate. This is not anything new. The difference is you're not driving your personal vehicle. You are driving a vehicle for a living in a heavily regulated industry. To pretend Big Brother is not in the truck with you is insane. Big Brother's been in the truck with you since about 1981 when deregulation took place. This is long overdue. But there's nobody staring at you. There's nobody watching you. You have secrecy curtains. So when you go to sleep at night, you close the curtain. There's no way it's watching you. You have complete privacy during your on-duty hours. And generally speaking, it is an asset to you when there is an accident, when there is a time that you've been hit. Normally, most juries or lawyers for the other side, the lawyers, they have nicknames like the jackhammer and the strong arm, and I'm going to get a trucker.com. Those lawyers can't argue against footage. They can't. So when the driver says, I did the right thing, and people go, sure you did. The footage comes back and protects the driver, and it protects us.
Yeah.
So when we say, no, this individual cut us off, they literally have the footage of the driver being cut off and the driver in the truck being fully aware of what's going on and trying to prevent it. It protects the driver. It protects us. It gets us out of hundreds of tickets over the course of the year or some kind of claim because it protects us. I get that there's drivers that are concerned about it from a privacy standpoint, but I got 1,900 drivers. I cannot afford a department of 1,900 individuals to sit there and stare at 1,900 drivers. We'd go bankrupt by about day 2.
Yeah, it's literally on Instagram, a lawyer that is on there. He's pretty well known on Instagram, and he's the lawyer that goes after the trucking industry. And the ones that he said that he can't fight are companies that have cameras.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what he says. He was like, you can't get around companies that have cameras. So he'll have little reels or whatever. He'll say, well, if they don't have a camera, this is how we could win this, even if it's your fault.
Oh, wow.
That's what he'll say. He'll say that on the on the reel, on the shorter or whatever it's called, reel on Instagram.
Usually how Pierson describes it, he taught us to describe it like that because sometimes, like he was saying, it's, someone staring at me 24/7, which we don't, but still, like, if you just tell the driver, hey, it's for your own benefit, like being protected, then, they'll understand.
Yeah.
It is a liability, and I can't emphasize this enough. If your next career choice is, I'm not going to work at a company with an inward-facing camera, the industry left you behind some time ago.
Yeah.
It's going to actually be regulated to where you won't get a choice in it. It is coming down the road. You're leaving yourself liable. And let's be clear here. We had 2 claims in 2018 of $100 million. We had the issue in Denver back 2-3 years ago that was $78 million. If you're independently wealthy and you have $100 million sitting in your bank account, by all means, have at it. Go out there, don't protect yourself. But unless you're independently wealthy and you actually need to make a living here, the argument of an inward-facing camera, We work in an office. We have CCTV footage, right? And we have cameras sitting down off the ceiling that look at us. No one's staring at us all day.
Right.
But God forbid,
Yeah.
if there was a disgruntled person or I don't know, a homeless person comes in one day that's not mentally stable. Boy, the camera footage is probably going to be of use.
Right. Absolutely.
So when I talk about that, I'm not excluding the driver. We have it in office settings. We have it if you know a bank teller, they have it. If you have a fast food worker at McDonald's, they have a camera on them.
On all day. Most company where we are now,
Has a camera.
have a camera on them all day. So when a driver says that, it's more of a red flag than anything.
It is. It is. In particular, we had an individual that applied last week. His previous employer fired him for texting and driving. And his first question was, do you have inward-facing cameras? We don't want that guy. That guy is in a job that he probably shouldn't have got into.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's literally job sites, construction workers, depending on the job site, they have cameras on the job right now.
Yep.
These construction workers are here, so it just is what it is there. Kayla, do you have one more question? Because I know it was a bunch, but we don't have time for all of them.
Yes, I do have one more. This one is for Josue. From your experience, what qualities make a driver successful at MVT?
From your experience, what qualities make a driver successful at MVT?
Qualities. I mean, it's just like he was saying, someone that's just professional, basically. Someone that takes their job serious, someone that is, job tenure is also like a big key, someone that knows about the trucking, industry and what they got themselves into, just because some drivers, sometimes they get a call that they want to Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday off. And it's kind of hard to find it in this industry, but just a driver that, knows the industry, knows, understands his job duty, like when Mesilla Valley, for example, like, hey, this is what you're going to be running. These are going to be your days off. So it's just someone that just understands and comprehends, like, what they need to do. For sure.
Okay, so I'm going to dig in a little deeper. You said that it's professional. What is professional to you when it comes to a driver?
I would just say on-time deliveries.
Okay,
Like, just because, they're a representation for our Mesilla Valley transportation. So once they're on time, everyone's happy. The driver's getting paid, he's happy. The customer got their load, they're happy. So at the end of the day, like, everyone is just happy.
And what else other than on time makes a professional driver, or makes them a professional?
Also, I guess I think their driving record comes a lot into play as well. I know accidents happen. It just could happen to just anyone, but I would say for me, once something that like impresses me is once I run the reports and, everything looks clean and job tenure's there. And, for me, I'm excited, I'm excited to work every application. Of course, there's going to be different people and, different type of backgrounds, whatever the case, we could definitely work through that. But, once I see it, like once you see their reports and their application, it definitely just stands out to you.
I'm going to include in that profession part of the conversation ambition. So if you are doing something today, but you want more, MVT has pathways for you. So as an example, you may start today as a Division 330 driver out of Dallas. You may decide, you know what, I want to become an owner-operator. Tell me about your lease program 6 months in. You may say, I want to train the next generation. We have trainers that make $120,000 to $150,000 a year. Not for everybody, but if you're able to take your skill set, pass it on to the next generation, that's an opportunity. Okay. You may say that, I want to get on something that's dedicated, that we normally don't recruit for, we give to our best drivers. Right. It might be, I want to win the car giveaway. I want to get the best fuel economy on the fleet. It may be, I want to get the $25,000. I want the best fuel economy for the year. It may be that, I want to be one of those drivers that get recognized as one of the million-mile drivers of safety. It's that ambition of, I'm starting here, but I want to go here in the next 5 to 10 years, that those drivers end up being very successful with us. Yeah. We have hundreds of drivers that fit that category where they have 1 million miles. They're doing something specialized for us, something unique for us. They may be a dispatcher, an orientation manager. They may be in our executive team. A lot of that starts at the driver level. It's the best pathway to join us in any other branch of the business. So that ambition is something that generally makes a driver good in the first 90 days, but we can go back and visit 2, 5, 10 years later and go, hey, do you remember when that guy joined us on 430? Look at where he is now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And it all starts from, like you said, the application coming in and then the conversation. Yeah, but I would agree with you. When you see the application and you talk to the driver on the phone, you see patterns.
Right.
You see patterns and things like that. And then you see some driver's application and you talk to them on the phone and you say, yeah, this driver fit application,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
And so you are less likely or excited about even the conversation because they're not going to be the driver that's going to be as successful. So I definitely get that one. That's for sure. Yes. So I want to go to our last commercial and then come back and definitely talk about the car giveaway because that was some exciting stuff. So definitely come back and talk about that. So let's go ahead and go to our last commercial, Kayla.
Mi nombre es Carlos Vázquez, tengo trabajando 3 años aproximadamente y somos B1 y andamos en territorio de Estados Unidos. Lo que me gusta de MVT es que tiene buenos viajes, buenos camiones y muy buenas millas. Mi comunicación con el despacho es muy buena y todo eso y siempre están a la orden del día. ¿Qué pienso del equipo de los camiones? Pues que están muy bien y les dan sus mantenimientos, sus PO y todo lo demás, alineación y balanceo, todo, cambio de llantas y excelente servicio. La compañía cada trimestre regala un auto para los operadores. Me motiva pues a crecer más como persona y pues, para dar el 100, como dicen, para la compañía.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So I wanted to go ahead and let's talk about this car giveaway because I know tomorrow is a big day for the car giveaway and Pierson's still not going to let us in on the secret. I know the person for tomorrow has been there less than 10 months.
Yep.
So that's as much as we get.
That's about it. Yeah, that's about
it.
So we do a driver appreciation every quarter. So most people do it 1 week in September. We do it every quarter. Tomorrow's fourth quarter one is held in El Paso, Nashville, Laredo, as well as El Paso and Denver. Sorry, I skipped Denver. And we get really good participation. A lot of drivers out there, vendors come and help. Some of our customers as well as vendors provide some opportunities for drivers to get some nice giveaways. And so generally speaking, you know that your location's been selected where that driver's going to be because when you see Royal Jones show up in a bunch of cameras, something's generally about to happen. So that will happen tomorrow, approximately 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time. In this case, it'd be a team, and they've been there less than 10 months, but they have really good fuel economy, and so folks will want to follow our Facebook page to see that tomorrow night. That will definitely get posted.
That's awesome, though. Just to know that they have not been there that long, but they definitely came in with a plan.
Yep.
So something is telling me that was a professional driver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In this case, without giving away the farm, yeah, they are very professional. It's a team. Really good training behind them, which generally that's where we look at our trainers a lot. They provide that good training for our recent graduates. And so there's some opportunities around that. But yeah, we want to recognize one of our competitive advantages in this industry is our fuel economy. In an industry that averages about 6.5 miles a gallon, we continue to average well above 9. And we reward whoever has the best fuel economy. And there's a lot of theories that go into it. It depends which division you're in. You haven't been with the company 20 years. I've heard all sorts of conspiracy theories around it. Truth be told, the biggest conspiracy is and that's true, is it comes down to driver behavior. We do a bunch of things with the equipment, with the procedures, But at the end of the day, the driver behavioral trends is what makes the difference on that fuel economy. It's why last quarter's winner averaged 12.6 miles a gallon. He was not on a division that would have relied on the Santa Ana winds pushing him off the West Coast. He was in a division that he had to take on some hills, he had to take on some traffic, but it was behavioral. It was not, it was hard, avoiding hard braking or hard acceleration. It was not constantly getting off the interstate. It was getting the most out of his time, pre-planning when he was going to be going into a certain area versus not, as well as meeting the customer demands. The opportunity is there, and tomorrow's winner will get a brand new 2023 Nissan Sentra. It's there in our lobby. It's black. It's I've sat and it's quite comfortable. I was asked to get out, but it was quite comfortable. Yeah, it's a very nice vehicle there. It's going to be the same vehicle in the first quarter of next year. So we will make that happen. And then whoever gets it for the year gets $25,000. And so even if you don't win a quarter, if you have the best fuel economy over 12 months, you get a nice $25,000 payday. If you are a driver that's somewhere in the middle and you're not getting to those high levels though, that's where that driver service department comes into play. And the driver service department, along with your fleet manager, is there to work with you. And we're going to look at the equipment, we're going to look at the customers you're serving and behavioral patterns, and come up with a 90-day game plan so you can consistently be in that top 10%.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say, okay, break it down how we're able to, but you broke it down already with the services and everything. So this actually concludes us for this Tuesday, definitely. So what I want to say is, if you guys are looking for a job, definitely give us a call at 281-968-3100, 281-968-3100, or go directly to the website at rigonwheels.com, and we have an Intella app right there for you to fill out. And we have recruiters waiting by the phone. What's it? All those infomercials, they say stuff like that.
3 payments and $99.95.
Yeah.
Probably not where you're going. No.
And then this right here will be your internal recruiter over here at MVT. So definitely give us a call or go directly to rigonwheels.com and fill out the Intella app. Did you have something?
Yeah, Thanksgiving coming up. Enjoy your loved ones' time at
Yes.
home. Cheer for the Lions. They need support. If you're a Lions fan, let me first off say I'm sorry. And B, are you a Houston fan or a Cowboys fan? Or what are you? We got a Giants fan here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is hard for him. But
I'm a what's my boyfriend?
Kansas City.
Travis.
Kansas City.
oh,
Chiefs.
the
The
Chiefs,
Chiefs.
the Chiefs, which I'm a Broncos fan, so that's why I can't like Kelsey. I can respect him, but I can't like him.
Yeah, that's my boyfriend.
But enjoy your time with family. It's really important. As much as we talk about running miles and staying safe on the road and inward and outward facing cameras and rates per mile, at the end of the day, we all work for the same purpose, and that's generally the team at home. We recognize that being the fact. Your true team is the one at home. So enjoy that time, get refreshed, let your family see you, your loved ones see you, and then come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, let's get back at it.
Yeah, definitely. Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.
I'm ready to eat. That's for sure. Anything you want to say, Josue?
Yeah, basically happy holidays, and call the number. We're ready, so we're ready to work your application for sure.
Yes, absolutely. All right. See you Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bye, everybody.